So many cartoons and so many years of enjoyment watching them. And you probably know a lot about them. But do you know the creators of these shows? Do you know how many shows these creators have made? Well, that's what we're looking at today. 5 different cartoon creators and their cartoons. What they're about and how they were made. Let's start with a creator pretty much everyone knows, Craig McCracken. Known for his most well-known show, The Powerpuff Girls. It's about 3 girls who are created in a lab with a chemical called X, and use their powers to save their city. Originally, the working title for the show was known as The Whoop-Ass Girls, but after Cartoon Network picked it up, it was reworked to be titled The Powerpuff Girls. The show premiered several shorts with varying receptions, but eventually picked up as a full series, becoming Cartoon Network's highest premiere at the time. Following Powerpuff Girls, Craig created Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, about a world where imaginary friends are real and can live together in a home to be adopted. The show mostly follows 2 best friends named Mac and Blue, as they go about their daily lives. Supposedly, the idea for Foster's came to Craig after adopting 2 dogs from an animal shelter. So he took the concept of pet adoption into imaginary friends and slowly developed it into what we know today. Craig's 3rd series is Wander Over Yonder, following a nomadic character named Wander who helps others around the galaxy along with his traveling partner named Sylvia, while avoiding and thwarting Lord Hater's plans to take over as many planets as possible. The concept of the show started as sketches and various kinds of merch Craig sold at conventions, and the show was influenced by his work of Hanna-Barbera, turning it into the wacky show we've grown to love. And the last of McCracken's shows for now is Kid Cosmic, a show about a kid named Kid who gets the chance to become an actual superhero alongside others in his small town to protect their home from alien invaders. The story of Kid Cosmic started as a comic strip he was making called The Kid from Planet Earth. It took many years for the show to be developed the way he wanted, mainly because he knew the way he wanted to tell it had to be serialized. It ended up being shelved until the mid-2010s when those type of cartoons were becoming more common and accepted, which led to him going to Netflix and assembling the show that we got. It's honestly quite the catalog for one guy. Every show he's made has always earned praise, which is well deserved. I hope we see more from him, whether it's another new cartoon or maybe a movie, as long as he continues creating. Moving on to our second creator, we have Lauren Foss, who created 2 series. The first is very well known, My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic, which follows a unicorn who travels to Ponyville to learn about various kinds of friendship, as she and her friends go on many adventures together and help others around Equestria. Lauren Foss was not originally supposed to create this generation of My Little Pony. She actually wanted to develop a Galaxy Girls animated series, but the pitch was unsuccessful. Lauren was told that her style would work well with the My Little Pony brand, so she developed it into the series that the whole fanbase knows today. Lauren's second series is DC Superhero Girls, a show that focuses on 16 heroes, Wonder Woman, Batgirl, Supergirl, Zatanna, Green Lantern, and Bumblebee, as they go about their daily lives and continuously save the city. Lauren was approached by Warner Bros. To develop the brand into a full series after the short-lived Super Best Friends Forever shorts, and she was well inspired a lot by the characters' incarnations from the Silver Age of comics. Now that we're together, gonna get that super life! Wow! Overall, the shows Lauren Foss created are well liked among the animation community. One of the shows is now iconic, while the other could be seen as underappreciated. I hope her next show will be just as great. Next up, we have Pendleton Ward, who created 3 shows, starting with his most iconic, and one of the most iconic cartoons of the modern day, Adventure Time. It's about a boy named Finn and his best friend Jake the dog, as they go about various adventures around the land of Ooh. The style of the show was inspired by the time he spent at Cal Arts, as well as the experience he had storyboarding The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack, leading to the series becoming a 7-minute short for back in the mid-2000s. It was broadcasted on Nickelodeon by 2007 and rebroadcasted a couple more times. It eventually made its way onto the internet where it became a viral hit. Nick was pitched the show by the company Federator Studios, but they were rejected, not once, not twice, but 5 times by Nickelodeon. Later it was pitched to other networks, including Cartoon Network, which became the show we all love today. Shortly after Adventure Time took off, Pendleton had another idea for a show, set in the future of the year 3085, following 4 teens as heroes for hire as they travel the universe protecting the innocent. The series, like Adventure Time, was also a short that aired on Nickelodeon but was not picked up. So Federated Studios took the show and did something not common at the time, and made a web show for the world to see. The series began on Cartoon Hangover's YouTube channel, where the first 2 seasons originally aired. It gained popularity for being a long-format show available to the masses, and continued for 2 more seasons that ended up airing on TV. The last of Pendleton's creations is Midnight Gospel, which was also co-created by Duncan Trussell. The series follows a spacecaster named Clancy who does a podcast interviewing various people around different planets around the galaxy, which are based on the real-life podcast from Duncan Trussell, being a podcast that was animated around the dialogue. Pendleton was extremely interested in Duncan's podcast around the early 2010s, and eventually became friends with him. Ward suggested turning Duncan's podcast into an animated series, showing different concepts through animatics of crazy situations while the podcast host and guests talk about various things, which they ended up taking the show to Netflix, and it was greenlit for 8 episodes. Now we know it as this trippy show it ended up becoming. Overall, Pendleton shows can be looked at as a fever dream and loads of fun in a lot of diverse ways, whether they are wholesome or even tackling serious subject matter. If Pendleton ends up creating another show, you best bet I will be there waiting for it. For our last creators, we got a little bit of a double whammy, with both Dan Povenmire and Jeff Swampy Marsh. They both created a few shows together, and Dan created one on his own. Firstly, their definite most famous work is Phineas and Ferb. It's about 2 brothers spending the summer together, living the life to the fullest with their friends, building various kinds of contraptions and having fun adventures together. One of the inspirations for the show was Dan's childhood and his mom having to tell him to never waste a day of summer, which inspired him to do a lot of artistic things like making live movies. Even Marsh spent a lot of his summers exploring various areas and taking part in various activities. The show really started to go one day while eating dinner at a restaurant. Dan was inspired and drew a triangle-headed kid on some butcher paper. From that sketch, it became rapidly the show that is well known today. So stick with us, 'cause Phineas and Ferb are gonna do it all. After 8 years of the original Phineas and Ferb airing, Dan and Swampy moved on to create Milo Murphys Law, which revolved around a character named Milo who suffers from Murphy's Law, where anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Milo and those around him have to deal with many things that shouldn't be a problem, but become a problem. However, Milo's optimism and intuition, they conquer everything that stands in their way. As for what exactly inspired or helped develop the show, I'm not sure. I couldn't find anything on the show's various wikis and articles about it. But I want to think the inspiration of the actual Murphy's Law, of anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And they took that and decided to make a cartoon revolving around that, and turn it into a great series, which I believe they did, even if it was sadly shorter than most fans would have wanted. The final show we are looking at was just created by Dan Povenmire, and the show was titled Hamster and Gretel. It's about a brother and sister who are gifted superpowers by aliens, but soon realize that the brother, Kevin, did not actually receive any powers, and the other powers were given to Gretel's pet hamster, Hamster. Together they fight crime, along with Kevin being their intelligence guy. The development of the series started during the making of the second Phineas and Ferb movie, Candace Against the Universe. He later developed the show to what we know during the early 2020s, into what I believe is a good show that has tons of potential to keep it going. Dan and Swampy's shows are incredibly fun, with the majority of them not being only comedy based but also musically based, making them more memorable to those who have watched them. With Phineas and Ferb returning for more seasons, I just hope it's as good as the original airings, and with anything else they make in the future. And these are the cartoon creators that have made multiple shows. Now, I know there are actually more than who I've talked about, and I'm willing to talk about more of them in a future video. Checking out another 5 creators and their shows. It's always great to know where these shows come from and what inspires a creator to give us the entertainment we see. Who are some of your favorite creators? Let me know, and next time I can talk about them.